Today is a very sad day. Riot just confirmed one thing: they'll cancel the console release. There's even more to this, and we'll dive into the story of Riot Games and what they have done to, well, hurt Wild Rift, with their words of helping Wild Rift. So, as of this morning, 4 AM you see here on my screen, Papasmoothie made a tweet on Twitter, or now X. Let's read it together, shall we? There have been a lot of questions about Wild Rift's console release, particularly with the recent updates from Valorant and their fighting game. So I wanted to officially let you all know that we are not pursuing a console launch at this moment. This is corporate speech for they will never do this. This was a deliberate decision to prioritize mobile investments over maintaining and trying to balance development between mobile and consoles. Our goal is to bring the right games to the right platforms for players, so while we see games like Valorant or the fighting game show up on consoles because of the existing popularity of those games on the platform, we haven't seen the same for the mobile genre. Splitting our dev team's focus between console and mobile wasn't a trade-off we felt was right for the Wild Rift players right now. Very interesting, because that was probably a decision that has been made way back in the past. But we'll get to that one a little bit later. This decision will allow us to remain focused on delivering new experiences and expanding on the things you are currently enjoying for the mobile platform. We're excited about our plans for the rest of this year. Currently we are looking into matchmaking, queue times and game balance. Longer term, we are looking to address basic mobile experiences such as login, download and network stability. Thank you for supporting Wild Rift and see you on the Rift. First off, let's quickly take a look at very interesting things. Currently, we are looking into matchmaking. What would this mean? So matchmaking has been a big topic in Wild Rift for a long time right now. We all know that matchmaking is predatory, unfair and borderline terrible in this video game. He also made a post earlier this year about Wild Rift's matchmaking boosting bad players and punishing good players. With the current player base we have, I do not even know if it's even salvageable. There's one queue that will do all the fixes to all the problems we have, which is legendary queue. It might need some adjustments, but it's not a problem. But still, I don't think that normal matchmaking can be changed. Queue times. So what will they be doing? If you play on a Decade Challenger Sovereign account in, I don't know, Platinum Emerald that you haven't played for seasons, you'll queue for 15, 20, 30 minutes to find another Smurf to get into the game. If you queue on high elo, you'll take ages to find the game. All dependent on your stats. The worse your stats are, the easier it will be for you to find games. The only way I can see them change this in any way would be rank-based matchmaking, but that would probably hurt the casual player base a lot more, because the good players will climb anyway. They will just take a little bit longer. If the good players just play against the visible rank of the enemy, like if you match Challenger against Challenger or GM against GM, you would probably lose engagement from the high-level players, because they don't need many games to climb. Because even now, they do not need that many. And what else are they doing? They're looking for game balance. So, have you seen any of the last patches we see? Have you seen any of the last patches in Wild Rift? What was the common theme there? Was it removing damage, or was it adding damage? And if you saw buffs, how crazy did those buffs look like? Do you remember Viego buffs? This massive list of things they just buffed on this champion. And then they take a tiny bit away, and only take a tiny bit away of the crit, and he still one-shots you. So the entire philosophy about game balance as it is right now is one-shotting you. It's all about one-shots, but you can't necessarily snowball properly because you can't end the game due to the Nexus shield. 12-minute Baron is useless, dragons are useless, and all objectives in this game, with the exception of Herald, are borderline pointless. Unless you talk about, obviously, late-game Baron and then Elder, because they are useful, of course. But yeah, the game balance is absolutely terrible. The entire philosophy of the game right now is one-shot, 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 and if it isn't one-shotting, it is a meta. Champions such as Lilia, or for example Brand, who are like burn damage champions, can one-shot you. Should they be able to one-shot you? No. Scaling champions that are supposed to scale into the late game one-shot you on their boots with Boots of Mana and Teod Kassadin. Should that be the case? No. Scaling champions such as Kale don't do anything. Even in the later stages, you have this late game Dream, and then any other of the late game champions or mages is just so much better than Kale. And the only saving grace you would have is her ultimate. Nothing else, because she doesn't have range, doesn't have enough damage, and this entire idea of the game's balancing around early, mid, and late game champions just doesn't exist properly because champions do not really fall off. You have Lee Sin walking at you, level 2, level 3, level 4 one-shotting you, level 5 one-shotting you, level 11 one-shotting you, level 15 one-shotting you. One-shots you at every stage of the game if he hits you with any type of spell. That is a massive problem, and I do not believe that they'll actually tackle the damage creep we have in Wild Rift. So we have a promise about matchmaking. I believe it's an empty promise. We have a promise about queue times. I do not know how they want to tackle this unless they want to make only visible ranked matchmaking, which then would probably hurt their player base even more. And then game balance. I do not think they want to make the game balanced. They want to make it as fast as possible, as many one-shots as possible. So I really hope at least they remove Nexus Shield, change Baron, that for example at 12 minutes, Baron will remove the Nexus Shield, and so on. But I do not believe anything will happen that is beneficial. It might be for the good of the game, hopefully, what they're doing. I really hope so. I like the game. But from a competitive point of view, this game is not competitive at all and will never ever again be a competitive title. It's a complete casual experience. And if you have competitive aspirations or goals, please stop yourself from overplaying this game. It is more a casual experience, and that is okay. But do not get your hopes up. Do not become super hopeful. We have seen what happens. They will probably let you down. Do you have any updates on the backlog global voiceovers? It doesn't feel great to still have some incomplete legendaries after the promise to better bridge China and ROW content. I don't necessarily know what that means, but we just move over. We have 4 skins that we are playing catch up on, and our intention is still to complete the backlog. However, we are hitting some bottlenecks with production and it is progressing at a slower rate or slow pace than I would like. So basically, there are some skins, as you know, that were sold that didn't have custom voiceovers. So they got cheaper, but they still sold them at a max like normal price and only discounted them a little bit later and refunded you a few points. So that is basically the idea of this. They'll deal with this. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know, etc. But they will. Please, I'm begging you, advertise this game in a traditional mobile game format. Wild Rift deserves a larger audience. I've literally seen 0 ads, reminds me of Vainglory. Absolutely correct. This game, there's no real advertisements. My assumption is, because let's look at what he says later on. Would love to hear thoughts on the type of ads you would think would be effective. We find the efficacy of ads differ drastically by region. Some regions prefer offline, in-person activations, while others prefer socials. Happy to send notes to our marketing team. So, have you seen Wild Rift Advertisement at all? Did you? And if so, where? Please let me know in the comments below so I get a better idea. Maybe I can leave some feedback as well. But I personally believe nothing's gonna happen again. They are very much aware of what's going on, and there's a lot of noise outside right now, unfortunately. And I simply do not believe that outside of the Kane Season 2, we'll see advertisements for this game. Because they don't see a point of doing so, or otherwise they would have done so a long time ago. It's kind of sad to see, but it's not really much you can do about. But yeah, as I said, the game had a really high peak when it released in NA. Then it slowed down, fell down even more, and then it just disappeared. But if there's one thing we can talk about that would be unbelievably cheap for Riot Games to do, is creator support. Did you know that your creators are relatively big? I know that there's trouble with a few creators here and there, you know that you have blacklisted them. But if you look at it from face value, from an advertisement point of view, people like Hell's Devil, Darkbreaker, It's Stewart, RiftGuides, which is me, other people I do not know, why are they not receiving any type of support? For example, we, RiftGuides, sometimes get codes, but we do not get these codes because there's a partnership program. We do get these codes because otherwise we work with an agency related to Riot in our primary work field. Because Wild Rift is only happening on the side. So other people who do not have the option to have this and can't receive the goodwill of the agency that Riot also works with, can't get this. And imagine games, Supercell games, have a creator code. Imagine you as a player could support your favorite creator with, I don't know, Kirk's 10, Darkbreaker 25, anything. It doesn't matter. Or unlocked accounts that content creators can actually play skins, advertise for these skins, showcase their communities, the people, how good these skins look like, and therefore drive even more revenue towards Riot. Why is this not being prioritized? Why is there not focus on that one? And then even more, why does nobody care about this in the first place? What is the downside of this? Why is there no advertisement in client? We had an advertisement in the client about a book. And you all know how little Wild Rift players actually do like to read if you look at the majority of people. Because if they would actually read, they would understand what items would do, and people would not build the most grotesque stuff ever. So why is it possible to have a book advertisement in the game, even though it's thematically fitting with the Ruination theme? But there was no possibility of having a pop-up window about esports before it was cancelled in 2022, or another update about content creators that are actually still making content and not the people who stopped making content 1 or 2 years ago that you still put into some of your posts on your news outlet on the website. And why isn't any of this, like these heavy things, set on your website? Why is it only on X or Twitter, and then later put on Reddit by somebody who sees about this and brings visibility? There's just nobody listening and hearing what you guys are saying. Are you trying to hide this? Are you trying to like avoid seeing multiple people seeing this, or more people seeing this because you're afraid of backlash and you'd rather have like, okay, we said it, but it's not our fault that you didn't see it? Again, it feels kind of weird to me. David always talks about what has to be done against those who do not have appropriate behavior, but it would be a wise decision to think that the likes at the end of the game add up to something more significant, and that good behavior within the game is rewarded with some rewards. It would definitely help a lot of different. It would definitely help a lot from a different perspective. Honor system is one of the ways to guide player behavior. There are other systems that our teams are looking at right now. So while I do believe that we'll eventually introduce a global Wild Rift version of the honor system, it is not something we're expediting right now. We are currently working on social systems, broadening the in-game recognition for epic plays outside of kills and assists, which I'm hoping will positively influence your in-game behavior. Again, terrible, terrible, terrible. Did you know that the Chinese client has a completely built-out behavior system in the game that punishes you for inting, that shows what a good noodle you are, and absolutely showcases what a terrible player you can be as well? We are not expediting this right now. Means they will not do it at all. Again. This will be said, and this will never be touched again, because it would require dev time and they do not want to invest this at all. They're rather looking into social systems because, well, making people smile a bit is better than actually punishing people for their bad behavior. Broadening the in-game recognition for epic plays. That is very cool that we are actually seeing that people are making great plays, but it doesn't matter if you have half your games being ran down by people from a region that should be in their own region, and they behave like absolute scumbags. Also, no mention of their issue with player bases from different regions, their behavior, and the problems they bring with into different cultures. From experience, I just speak about the European server. We have a rampant issue with people that come from the Turkish server and from the Russian server, behaving as if the only language that exists is their own language, and they refuse to speak English. They maybe don't even understand English, I do not know, and then they run you down for the tiniest of things. And it's always the same case. And the moment you see certain messages in the chat, you already know this is going to be a bad experience, and it keeps on happening again. And there's no way, literally no way, for Riot to punish this. It's not punished, it just goes through. They can run down side with 15 deaths, it doesn't matter. As long as they don't run down mid repeatedly, they will not get punished. And they can do this for 10, 15, 20 games, it doesn't matter. They will get away with it. As long as you don't type certain words, you do not get chat restricted. And even if you get chat restricted, what is the consequence? You can wish people the worst, you can wish people the best, nothing happens. You just get told you can't chat for 1 day, 1 week, and then suddenly you see, oh, I have a chat ban for 2 years. But it doesn't impair anything you do in the game, you just can't chat. And as we all know, if nobody speaks your language in the first place, what does chatting even do? So yeah, there's just a lot of problems with this. I have on my mind. And I think that was the last thing he replied to. Yeah, it was the last thing he replied to. So yeah, let me know what you think about this one. I think it is saddening to see, very saddening. And I don't think anything positive will come out of this. However, we see something about a new big thing, a new big thing, which is going to be, hold up, it's very important, I need to find it. Oh my god, he posts so much about normal league. It is crazy. Where is he? Where is he? Okay, I found it. Innovation has many different faces. Can you guess this is coming to the new patch? This is going to be a new thing in the game. We do not know necessarily what it means yet, but the assumption is that you can actually claim this in the game. Hold up, let me look for this. I'm a little bit sorry for the chaos here, because this is something I did not expect would happen. Okay, it was Skin Spotlight, not Spider Axe, who posted this. Okay, Wild Rift saw PC Let You Ride Shelly and was like, let's one up it a tiny bit. Innovation has many different phases. Can you guess who's coming to the new patch? Rift. Many people think something about Heimerdinger and his dinosaur, but there's a massive gun in the hands of this dinosaur, and it's massive. And this little thing of the code, the team has claimed the T-Hacks. So the thing is, okay, the dragon system in current Wild Rift is terrible and meaningless to stack individual dragons. Souls also feel very underwhelming outside of very niche situations. What I believe they're going to do is they're going to replace Herald with this. They're introducing a new objective, removing Herald and making it a T-Hacks. What I really hope for them to do is that they rework dragons and do something with dragons with this thing and not remove Herald or change Herald. But given how people perceive dragon strength, like if the vast majority of people believe that dragons are good, they will not do anything about dragons. It's just how they operate. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about some things in the past. Okay, as I said, the console release has been killed. Now let's talk about when I believe it was actually killed. Right Medler on the 11th of September 2023 tweeted, "Hey folks, there's been some chatter recently about the development team for Wild Rift, so I wanted to offer some visibility into how the team's been evolving behind the scenes. Wild Rift is our only mobile MOBA exclusive game, as such as we've been seeking out highly experienced mobile developers, because that's not a skill set Riot historically has, especially when you compare it to our experience in PC development. As part of this process, we've identified that our Riot Shanghai office is a great location for new hires for Wild Rift, given how strong the talent market for mobile devs is in Shanghai. We're hiring for a number of roles there. As a result, there's a gradual and ongoing process. We're at the point right now, though, where you'll start seeing some of the new folks pop up in various things like patch previews. Development and support for Wild Rift will continue to happen from Riot's offices around the world. Some capabilities will move to Shanghai, while operations and other capabilities will remain here, where they are today. We're excited for the capabilities this will unlock for Wild Rift, but also expect some bumps along the way in the next couple patches, this year and early 2024, as we bring new folks onto the team. Please keep the feedback coming on where we're hitting the mark and where we're missing." So this is where I believe console development was completely killed off, even probably earlier, which is here. I think they already thought about killing it here, because let's read about it for a second. On the 21st of November 2022, the dev day of mobile esports for Wild Rift in the global region. Next steps for Wild Rift Esports. We have learned a lot in our inaugural year of Wild Rift Esports, and we are so grateful for the support from the community, players and teams from around the globe. This is from John Needham, president of esports of Riot Games. A year ago, we launched an inaugural season of Wild Rift Esports, Riot's first mobile esport. We went in with all the aspiration, ambition, and resources we provide our major esports with. While we build an exciting sports across several regions in the past year, we have decided to put our focus on where mobile esports and gaming are flourishing and wind down our own competitive operations in the rest of the world. In 2023, we will centralize the operations and focus of Wild Rift Esports in Asia, the biggest and most active mobile esports market in the world. The new Wild Rift League in Asia will be the first Riot cross-regional professional mobile esports league and will replace the original Wild Rift Esports (WRE) in April of 2023. This new league ecosystem will consist of 12 teams from Chinese WRL and 8 teams from the other 2022 Asian regions. The season will be structured as 2 splits each year and will focus on showcasing the best talent from the most competitive regions in our sport. Given the vigorous mobile esports market in Asia and the level of competition in these regions, as showcased at iGames 2022, we are thrilled to bring inter-regional level play to the Wild Rift Esports regular season for the first time. The new Wild Rift Asian League will bring the intensity and hype of regional rivalries, I can't even speak of rivalries, more regularly to our fans in Asia. We'll have more details to share about this new league in early 2022. As a part of this new plan, outside of Asia, we will no longer directly operate Wild Rift Esports leagues and instead unlock the opportunity for third parties to host events. So that way we'll have our priority and focus on the upcoming Wild Rift Asia League. We believe that these changes will give the community time and runway to grow organically and establish what role high-level competition will play in the ecosystem. As the Wild Rift Esports landscape evolves, we'll be ready to move in lockstep. We've learned a lot in our inaugural year of Wild Rift Esports, and we are so grateful for the support from the community, players and teams from around the globe. Thank you, and we look forward to introducing the new Asian League in 2023. So this is why I believe they actually thought about killing it. They started esports with a 2-year plan. They killed it after 1 year because it was way too expensive and there was no viewership. They also had no real, well, they didn't have viewers because they didn't even advertise anything. There was nothing properly going on in terms of viewing stuff. Like, no advertisement for esports. Not signing content creators to push content on their own channels. They just did dedicated content for them, including us. And nothing of this was actually done, so nobody knew that there was actual esports in the game. Like, nobody had any idea. To this day, nobody knows. And the wording here, let me quickly look for it again. Where is the one? This one. Grow organically and establish what role high-level competition. I can tell you what high-level competition in Europe looks like. Do you have money? Can I live from the game? No? Okay, no competition. The current competition we have, and I really appreciate the team doing this, is very low. Like in the past of Wild Rift Prime Esports, they would not even get close to tier 3 teams, most of them. And you have 1 or 2 teams who consist of old tier 1 players, like the highest level of competition, former competitors. They just roll over them. It's so unbelievably unbalanced. It's like you as an athlete go into a kindergarten and try to have a show off or like a battle or anything in any Olympic discipline against a toddler. It's that crazy. And because Wild Rift is at a point where it is, anything strategic is not really pushed for. Because why? You climb to any point not doing anything, you just need to play more games. And therefore all the bad habits you have will never be fixed, and yeah, it's a casual game. And this is like the sour taste in the mouth. It's completely casual. Entirely casual. And I think 2022, they already foreshadowed that they will kill everything and make this game a complete casual experience and remove anything that requires more money spent into this game. Because they always love to say, this requires development time and is too expensive. But they can advertise a book in the game. Yeah, that is some crazy stuff. And for sure they'll focus on matchmaking, for sure there'll be changes. I believe them, I do not. However, I really hope, at least for the advertisement part, they're putting some effort in. They connect with creators. They connect with creators that are critical of them. Because if you convince critical people that do not like what you're doing, that you're doing something good, it's something very good for you. And I really hope that with the changes they're trying to implement, for example the T-hacks and gameplay changes, they move further away from normal league and create their own unique experience. And create something entirely new that more people are drawn into. And yeah, thank you all for watching. It was more of a sad video, a little bit of an update video. I'm sorry for the rambling. I wasn't really prepared for this, I just did it on the fly, you know. And yeah, We'll see each other for more content very soon. Take care.